Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. The busy work week will have an added dimension to it as school has started in earnest. But did you know, if you train your mind to see the good in every situation, you are already ahead in the game? Come, we have another stimulating show, starting with the news.
Good day, I am Adrian Atkinson and this is your JIS News for Monday, September 11, 2023. The Ministry of Education is cautioning school administrators and teachers against using the illegal practice of denying students access to education as punishment. This comes after a newspaper story on Sunday cited a possible lockout by a school of students who sported a particular branded school bag. In response, Education Minister Favour Williams released a statement making it clear that this age-old practice of denying access to education as punishment is not only counterproductive, it is illegal. The Act contravenes Article 28 of the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child, to which Jamaica is a signatory. It also breaches the Education Act 1965 and the 2004 Child Care and Protection Act. The Education Minister further cautions educators to remember that they are agents of the state and their decisions should not be personal, but rather made on behalf of the state. According to the minister, numerous studies have shown that denying students access to education worsens undesirable behaviors. Instead, she says, school administrators and teachers need to apply corrective actions consistently and prudently and in the best interest of the child. Among several alternatives recommended is engaging students in conversation about the appropriateness of their behaviors, choices, and consequences. The ministry also recommends putting children on behavior contracts, using schedules of reinforcement, and referring students for internal or external counseling. They should also be given reasonable time for corrective action or for the desirable behaviors to be demonstrated. Minister Williams adds that parents or guardians must be engaged regarding matters pertinent to the interests and development of their children. Schools are also encouraged to hold motivational sessions with children as well as empowering sessions with parents. Minister of Transport Daryl Vaz is reporting that as all students begin the new school term today, it was a smooth movement of commuters transported by the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC. Minister Vaz and his colleague, Education Minister Favour Williams, visited the Halfway Tree Transport Centre and surrounding areas earlier today. He revealed that 253 buses were in the system.
And what is very impressive to me is the fact that at 7:30, at this moment at 7:30, you have no waiting in the area for persons who are seeking buses. That would show me that the people are being moved in a timely manner based on the availability of buses.
To ensure this is sustained, the Transport Minister says 6 additional buses are expected in November and 14 in January next year.
Getting additional buses that are not diesel, that are CNG and electric, compressed natural gas, along with the implementation of a fully cashless system for JUTC by the middle of next year will do the trick in terms of getting the ability for JUTC to operate at a higher efficiency, at less subsidy from the government, and most importantly, doing what it needs to do, which is move the people in a timely manner.
Minister Vaz says he is also impressed by the service provided for the disabled community. The minister also told the media that he would be making stops to other transport centres across the island to observe operations and make adjustments where necessary. In the meantime, the Transport and Education Ministers participated in a JUTC voucher distribution to students and adults. Jamaica has recorded its strongest summer tourism season with a little over 1 million visitors and earnings of $1.5 billion. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett announced the numbers during a function last Thursday.
We closed the summer, with just about 800, a little over 800,000 visitors stop over, and of course cruise. when cruises added 230,000. So we have just a little over a million visitors in the period, and we earned $1.5 billion for Jamaica in this summer.
Minister Bartlett says these results will put Jamaica on a good path to set a new record of $4 billion in earnings at the end of the year.
So that has put us on a path now where at the end of August, we're 2.7 million visitors overall, and we have earned I want to say that again, $3.1 billion. First time in our history that we have broken the 3 billion mark before the 9th month of the year, because we did that at the end of August.
The Tourism Minister was addressing the press launch of Jamaica Product Exchange JPEX 2023. The trade event is being held from September 11 to 13 at the Montego Bay Convention Centre in St. James. It's designed to create partnership opportunities for businesses within the tourism space. The Black River Hospital in St. Elizabeth has become the 7th public hospital in Jamaica to be internationally certified as baby-friendly. To be baby-friendly means giving every baby the best start in life by creating a healthcare environment that supports breastfeeding. This is in keeping with the global campaign established to prepare health systems and mobilize healthcare workers to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding. It is being done in partnership with UNICEF and the WHO as well as PAHO. The baby-friendly program is also part of the government's drive to provide a framework that enables mothers to acquire the skills they need to breastfeed exclusively for the first 6 months, followed by complementary foods and continued breastfeeding for 2 years and beyond. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton points out that getting the baby-friendly stamp of approval takes a lot of work. It includes training of staff and infrastructural adjustments. Dr. Tufton says international data shows that this program saves nearly 1 million lives annually. In addition to the benefits to newborns, breastfeeding reduces health risks like breast cancer. And finally, the government is considering a bid to host matches in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in 2024. Minister of Sport Olivia Grange says the administration sees the benefit in hosting T20 World Cup games and is matching that against the tremendous cost involved. The minister says it's estimated to cost more than $450 million to bid and host a few games. This would include infrastructure upgrades to match and practice venues. The sport minister says discussions are continuing with the Jamaica Cricket Association, which is in dialogue with Cricket West Indies, along with other stakeholders and potential partners on the way forward, considering the huge cost involved. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
That smile on their faces and preserve their innocence. Cherish the moments you have with them and create the best memories. Let's inspire our children to dream big and work hard to achieve all they aspire to be. Take the time to listen to our children and really hear their side of the story. Our children deserve love and the right to access their basic needs. Do your part and protect our children.
Finding the right career that provides not only financial stability but fulfillment is what we all want. If you're wondering where to make your mark, you could consider a career in farming. Here's how one young Jamaican is making a difference in this age-old profession.
We have a little hospital coop basically for the chickens that don't look so promising. My uncle Raymond, he's a big poultry farmer because social media is marketing tool basically.
Hi, my name is Cleo Jones and this is my story. I'm a 21-year-old poultry farmer. Started farming about 4 or 5 months ago. went viral on TikTok, and ever since the poultry business has been booming for me. I started with only 100 chickens, and right now on the farm collectively me and my uncle have about 4,000 chickens, including layers.
Clear come by my farm and him and his mother and he said, "Mommy, I love farming." And I said, "Okay, bring him over, I can teach him how to farm," and so him started out.
When I just started poultry farming, the big question was, how am I going to be different? You know, I didn't just want to walk into a restaurant and say, "Can I speak to the owner? Hey, you know, some race fowl." I didn't just want to do that. You know, I wanted to market it in a way that I separated myself from other poultry farmers, you know, made my brand different. And something just came to my mind that, hey, you're good at, you know, music, you're good at writing songs, poems. Why not infuse that creativity into the business, you know, spread it on different social platforms and see what could happen. That's what I did, and it worked. Okay, you want a song? All right, so. If education are the key, ambition are the locksmith. First batch sold off is another batch. This to the profit like gymnasts, make you back flip back that again till you see a fat brick. We supply wings and legs and hip for the curry and fry and jerk man grill link. If you know smarty with the chicken and chips, big up Damien and the whole chicken and things. High pro feed, make your birds active. Youth start farming and make a million quick. The reason why I decided to go into poultry is because Corona taught me one of the most important business lessons, and that is essential business is the most important. So most of my customers that, you know, order chickens from me, they do it via social media because, you know, social media, it's the new marketing tool. It's not a case where I have to bring them on the farm. I just, you know, need the address to have it delivered to them. You know, most of the times I'm busy, so I don't do the delivery, but, you know, I have the courier that does the delivery for them. So I get the order, basically open the deep freeze, you know, weigh the chickens that are already harvested, you know, and send it off to the restaurant, to the wholesale, to the cook shop, the household, wherever. What we do, we go to a super center, you know, we pick up the baby chickens from the hatchery, you know, fresh out the eggs and everything. We transport them here on the farm. We have 2 coops that we use as the nursery coop, basically, because those coops contains the heat bulbs and, you know, the required facility to basically nurture those baby chicks. Then after that we transport them to the big coop, and we basically feed them for 6 weeks, take care of them until they're ready to be harvested.
What I do, I actually build about 6 huge concrete tanks and harvest rainwater and treat it. So wherever time already, I use that for the chicken, for the pig, and for the goat. So I don't buy a lot of water. I've actually calculated 9 months of rainfall water. So that means if I have drought for 9 months, I can supply myself for 9 months with water.
Jamaica is basically importing a lot of things that, you know, we have the potential to grow. I would advise a lot of youths to jump into farming. You know, it's profitable. There's a great demand for it, so, you know, you just want to market your stuff the right way. So yeah, I would definitely encourage, you know, everybody to build a fowl coop, plant some cabbage, plant something, grow something. Now that you see what I'm doing, you can join in on this too. Stop farm fool, farm fowl.
How much do you know about the Victim Services Division in the Ministry of Justice? What about the services they provide? Come, find out more in this feature that could help you or someone you know.
Victim Services Division provides support for all victims of crime. It does not matter the type of crime that has been committed against you, or doors are open to you.
Some of those victims are persons who've suffered sexual abuse, family members of people murdered, individuals who've experienced robbery and intimate partner violence, otherwise known as domestic abuse. They all can be grouped into one of three categories: primary, secondary, or tertiary victim. Who is a primary victim?
The person to whom the crime has been directly committed. Now, in the case where the primary victim is deceased, we will provide the service to their next of kin and their immediate family members, who in this case will be the secondary victims.
Secondary victims may not have had the act perpetrated on them, but they do experience some amount of trauma due to what their loved ones may have endured. Then there are the tertiary victims.
Victim service workers are categorized as tertiary victims. And so we think about persons like the police officers who have to interface with these situations on a day-to-day basis. There is secondary traumatization that they experience. And so it is critically important that persons not only recognize that these events can have an impact on them, be they primary, secondary, or tertiary victim, but also that they need to get assistance to be able to deal with the effects of the trauma that they have experienced.
Tertiary victims also suffer what's called vicarious trauma. This results in some form of distress caused from the horrific experiences of others.
For example, a mother who has a 9-year-old child and hears of the incident where a 9-year-old was brutally murdered. That person will feel some amount of trauma, some amount of fear even because of what has happened to that child when they think of the fact that they too have a 9-year-old child.
A department in the Ministry of Justice, the Victim Services Division, is determined to help.
We have come to recognize that even in the cases where there are physical wounds, when those have healed, the wounds that are created, the psychological wounds and the social injuries that are created, are far harder to heal, especially if the person has received no intervention to deal with the trauma that they have faced.
The division provides a support system for individuals, including through counseling sessions which have been extended to e-counseling, an initiative that was boosted by the COVID-19 pandemic. This is a therapeutic process that is based on trauma-informed care to help individuals cope. Another is crisis intervention. This is where experts at the division may need to accompany police officers onto a scene to help victims understand what is happening. It's known as on-the-scene response.
Additionally, we provide services in terms of home visits. So we'll visit the homes of victims and provide services to them there, school visits, and that sort of thing in terms of crisis intervention.
Another part of the treatment focuses on informing the victims of their rights.
We try to assist them through the process, get in touch with the relevant persons to get information that they may need to even understand the process of the investigation, what is happening, what will be happening, or what should happen.
Due to the unnerving experience of a trial and the added traumatization of the victims, the division also gives court support to help persons prepare for trial.
When a victim has to go to court, it can be a very frightening experience for both adults and children. So one of the ways in which we advocate, instead of having the victim being seated in the same area and being able to be seen by the perpetrator and they're seeing the perpetrator and they may feel fearful and not able to go through the process, we ask that they be seated in another area where they don't have to interface with this, or even where they don't have to interface where possible with the general public.
The Victim Services Division also provides a Children in Court program.
In terms of dealing with the children, some of the tools that we use, we may utilize a model courtroom that really depicts the courtroom setting and give them an idea as to where individuals may be seated, who they will interact with, who they can expect to interact with them, that sort of thing. In some instances, we're even able to bring the victim to the courthouse prior to the date so that they can basically see the lay of the land and get a better appreciation and understanding. So when they turn up on that day, it's not all brand new to them. And preparation for us, let me be clear, is really orientating them to the process. We do not interfere with statements. We do not interfere with whatever it is they will be going there to say. We are all about the court process, the layout of the court, and basically educating them as to what they can expect.
You do not have to suffer in silence. You do not have to be afraid.
We operate on a principle of neutrality. It does not matter who you are. It does not matter what your story is. Our doors are open to you once you have become a victim of a crime.
For more information, contact the Victim Services Division in your parish and get help today.
We're still in the hurricane season, and while the El Niño-La Niña phenomena may not be uppermost in your mind, here's some interesting information that explains why you should understand these climatic patterns.
The climate crisis is evident. It is the reality of our time, and the challenges will no doubt reflect in our present challenges and indeed in our near future.
The forecast for the Pacific is expected to be warmer than normal sea surface temperatures throughout this end of the year, but also increase in the size or extent of the warming.
After a 3-year run, La Niña, the cooling weather phenomenon, is ending, and scientists around the world are predicting the onset and development of its hotter counterpart, El Niño, during the summer.
The El Niño is strengthening, is expected to continue right through the hurricane season.
During normal conditions in the Pacific Ocean, trade winds blow west along the equator, taking warm water from South America towards Asia. To replace that warm water, cold water rises from the depths in a process called upwelling. El Niño and La Niña are opposing climate patterns that break these normal conditions, and both can have global impacts on weather.
For example, in the Caribbean here, we have strong wind shear activities, and those wind shear activities suppress tropical storm development. So the wind is going this way, then you have another wind going that way. You don't have the chance for the development of the systems. So you have shearing, and those limit the development of tropical cyclones across the Atlantic during El Niño periods. But on the other hand, we have above normal high ocean temperatures or sea surface temperatures at the surface, and also some depth below the water. And that heating of the water provides the energy that the storms need to develop. So you're going to be having those competing systems during the season.
The swing from one to the other typically happens every 3 to 7 years on average. But while it is rare for El Niño events to last longer than a year or so, it is common for La Niña to last for 2 years or more. These two climate patterns tend to develop during the spring, reaching their peak intensity during late autumn or winter, that's November to February, and then weaken during the spring or early summer from March to June.
So with the onset of El Niño, you normally have less rain days. So the amount of rainfall, in fact, will lessen. However, the days that we do have rainfall, whether by a trough or a tropical wave or a tropical storm or hurricane, on those days, you're going to have stronger or rainfall that is greater in intensity and also longer duration.
According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, scientists can often predict the onset of El Niño and La Niña several months to a year in advance. This is done using modern climate models and observation data from the Tropical Pacific Observing System. These include the use of sensors on satellites, ocean buoys, and radiosondes, which constantly monitor changing conditions in the ocean and atmosphere. Since El Niño and La Niña are naturally occurring climate patterns, their intensity, duration, and onset cannot be influenced. However, the implementation of climate change mitigation measures could be used to lessen these impacts. And as it relates to Jamaica and what we need to know going into the peak of the hurricane season, which will be impacted by the El Niño climate pattern.
Even though you have El Niño, the warming, those two factors will allow for a near normal hurricane season. So that is what we're expecting in terms of the effect of El Niño, and in addition, the warm sea surface temperatures. So they will be competing, and as we go forward, it is whichever one is dominant that will determine the number of systems that we have for the hurricane season.
So, how do government and individuals prepare for the season?
In terms of preparation and government, let's start with the Met Service. So the Met Service is fully staffed and is able to provide the hurricane warnings and bulletins that is required during the passage of a hurricane season. We also have trained meteorologists. We also partner with the ODPEM, the Ministry of Local Government, and the National Work Agencies, members of Parliament. All these entities come together to clean the drains, to provide shelter in terms of during the passage of a hurricane, and therefore a number of entities come into play and provide the support that is required during a hurricane season. So as an individual, my message is always be prepared during the hurricane season.
Thank you for being with us today on Jamaica Magazine. Join us again tomorrow for another interesting journey. Of course, you can visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more news you can use. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.